So we are starting the afternoon panel. We have 5 panelists with us, 1 online and 4 with us here live. We have Esa Kukkonen from Baltic Institute in Finland. And I will tell the names in a row of how the questions will be posed. Then we have Viktor Nedovic. You remember him from the morning session, he's S3 team leader in Serbia. Then we have Paola Pinto from Basilicata region online. You also
Good afternoon.
Morning session. The panel is not gender balanced, but my female half is strong. This will compensate. And we have Alessandro Dario, Emilia Romagna, who was presenter in the morning as well. And we have, last but not least, Esa Kukkonen. We have, no, sorry. Kun. Sorry, Kun. I will shortly present everyone as we go with questions. We have 1 hour for this panel. The questions will be first posed by moderator, and then you will have Q&A session in the last part for the audience. So get ready with your questions for the last part of the session. Do we hear each other well? Is it okay? The virtual room. Do we have?
I can hear you very well. I hear a little noise.
In the room? The purpose of this panel discussion is to strengthen a bit the debate in the morning, to strengthen it with concrete examples of collaboration. What we have around the table is experts in innovation policies, and particularly with strong experience in cross-regional collaboration, hands-on experience in cross-border cooperation, not only with Interreg, as Alessandro, for example, but also experimenting with wide range of innovative instruments for funding research, development, and innovation, like Vanguard Initiative or Baltic States innovative approaches towards mapping of the needs. Baltics are strong in needs-based assessment of priorities that translated in macro-regional strategy. So we will go with the questions. First, a question to Esa Kukkonen. Esa, you have been from the beginning with the Baltic strategy and with the institute that propels the initiatives and also funding mechanisms. Can you share specific examples of how the Baltic strategy has successfully initiated concrete S3 cooperation projects among Baltic Sea countries and regions, and what key strategies could be adapted to the Adriatic Union region to kickstart similar initiatives, please?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for the organizers for inviting us. And this is something that we would like to increasingly also support and contribute to in the USBSR, is that to exchange and learn, interact with other macro-regional strategies, because we have a common policy framework, common strategy framework, and by openly sharing our experiences and learning from each other, and also connecting our stakeholders in connection with a practical project. So I'm sure that we can together make macro-regional strategies a stronger part of the EU policy system. But yeah, to start with that, for USBSR in general, regions and cities have been the most active stakeholders for a long time. And even before the macro-regional strategy, since early 90s, when this current wave phase of the Baltic Sea cooperation started, regions and cities kind of connected. They established their own networks. They started to work with the joint projects. So that's the basis why then when also we became an EU region, so EU enlargement very much happened also in the Baltic Sea region in 90s and early 2000. So that when this opportunity to be also to promote, develop our region in context of European policies and together with other European countries. So we had a good kind of a, and when the smart specialization came as a kind of a framework for interregional cooperation, so we had a good basis to do it because of our well-connected region and macro region, and then our sub-regions having already a lot of experience. They knew each other already quite well. So that was a good starting point. And for us in policy area innovation, so as we are coordinating the policy area innovation, under which obviously smart specialization is, for us actually the focus is very much in the local and regional level of innovation policy. And the role of cities and regions and their ecosystems in making the whole macro region more competitive. So it's understood in the framework of our national innovation policies that when cities and regions are active, are working together, use EU funding opportunities, together implement EU policies, whether they are missions or smart specialization or digital policies. So it contributes also to national policies, which are also increasingly somehow not so centralized anymore, but increasing, like in Finland, our national innovation policy is very much based on the regional and local ecosystems. And this is a starting point. And then in the previous program period, when S3 kind of appeared, so also in EU's BSR, we very much focused on that. And of course, it was when the regions were developing their smart specialization strategies and in the early implementation of them. So there was a lot of projects just focusing on S3 were implemented. And we as policy innovation were somehow supporting and facilitating that work. And there were a number of projects, especially under Interreg Baltic Sea Region program, which had a pure S3 focus, implemented between 2014 and 2022 even. Some focused on just a general strategy development and management. Some focused on the role of business sector and involvement of SMEs increasingly to regional innovation policies and S3 development and implementation. Some focused on some sectoral S3 priority areas like circular economy or bioeconomy, and different, actually a number of projects, and also some European-wide Interreg Europe projects where S3 was the focus and where Baltic Sea region sub-regions participated. And that was kind of when we felt like that we, even though there was some hesitation like in Finland, that some regions felt that they already been doing the smart specialization for a long time. So what's the novelty here? But when we understood this as a common European approach for regional innovation policy, and even just within the Baltic Sea region, in the framework of S3, regions really somehow develop their strategies, not just from the point of view of their own needs and stakeholders' input and national framework, but from the point of view of the neighbors and the complementarities between the neighbors. So it was actually, I think that work in previous program period with those number of like 10 S3 focused projects really made us much better prepared for this current program period with a now very ambitious twin transition goals and a bit different focus again. So we feel like that the regions have been better in somehow building strategic alliances in different topics, like in circular economy or in blue economy or in digital topics. And now there are some regions who are especially active in this kind of a continuing what we started in previous program period. And they have a kind of a regional network for regional development directors who kind of coordinate and exchange and together develop their innovation policies and smart specialization strategies and look at the new European opportunities in regional innovation valleys or I3 horizon, etc. But I think that the biggest kind of a best practice is this strong networks and kind of a tradition of collaboration between the regional authorities. So it's very much in USBSR S3 related work is very much in the hands of the regions. And then when they are able to put out some interesting projects or input then to national level, then it's something that also the national policymakers listen to. But the leadership is very much in the region's hands.
Very good. That's a very strong point also for the next speaker, namely the relationship between regional needs and priorities and importance of those for national level. Namely, Viktor Nedovic was for long years a part of the ministry responsible for science and innovation in different functions. Now he took over the SAGE program, which is Serbian Acceleration of Innovation and Growth Enterprise. It's an interesting blend of different actors operating in Serbia. But my question is, considering Serbia as having a large interest of funders, so to say, and aid agencies, having the status as a new candidate country, what concrete steps can be taken within the USDR and USR frameworks to initiate and implement S3-based cooperation projects that address both regional challenges and opportunities, drawing on lessons from Macroregion as was presented by Esther.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. Yes, we first to say that Serbia developed a strategy that was adopted in 2020 on the national level. And there was several reasons for that, and maybe the most important one was that the funds, the means for the implementation of the strategy itself were centralized on a way national level. But nowadays we are thinking more and more how to develop it on the regional level, and we started with a certain number of activities concerning that. And we would like very much to learn from the Baltic experience that way, as it is something that is actual topic in my country. Even before national strategy, we had one exercise on the level of the province of Vojvodina, going back to 2014, when the first document was developed through one interregional project with Hungary on the level of province of Vojvodina. That means we started really early, and that document was adopted by the provincial government. I don't know really the results of the implementation of that document because we started later, but just for the sake of the when it started in my country, just to mention it. In any case, Vojvodina as a province is very much included in those activities nowadays. What from both of these macro-regional strategies, and I have to say also that I'm very much included in another one macro-region. It is European strategy for the Danube region as co-coordinator of Priority Area 7, North Society, in which we have particular working group dealing with smart specialization. But I think the most important is to identify the common priorities among different regions, among different countries that have already developed the strategy itself, and to create very proactive collaborative working groups that will deal with those issues and have the opportunity and to manage together different kinds of stakeholders from the business sector, from the academia sector, from civil society, from the government, and to exchange the views and to identify the challenges on the regional level and to initiate the kind of program, project that could support to solve it, to fix it as it is identified as a challenge. And another one is to facilitate the fund mechanism that could be differently used for that. From one side, it could be development of joint funding schemes. We already have something like that in the Danube region. That was a particular program initiated by Austrian Ministry relevant for science, in which Serbia took right from the beginning the activity part, and many other countries along the Danube, but also promoting the regional goals, like in the case of the Danube region, it is Danube regional program, and we have a very good exchange of communication with the governance of the Danube regional program to put on the table the priorities that are coming from the work of these working groups, and to be visible in the next open calls of the Danube regional program. This is a kind of mechanism, a kind of way how we can bring what we discuss on the level of the collaborating groups, all together different stakeholders, to the policymakers, to the entities, different European ones that could open the calls to support such project.
So even though the process in Serbia was sort of reverse to the process in Baltics, the process in Baltics started from needs assessment on the ground. The process in Serbia started from completely different political, more or less upside down.
No,
but at the end, you ended at the same
yeah, but
method, collaboration.
Yeah, collaborate. But I have to say also that we started really from the bottom up in our case as well. When I'm talking about the development of strategy itself in Serbia, we started with identifying through different mechanisms, through quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis, the areas of priority, and then we started with the reports afterwards. But it was really a very inclusive process in our case, and when we created in Serbia these working groups, we have almost each meeting more than 50% of presentation of the business sector. And it was something that brings the quality to our discussion and the activities and the action that came afterwards. Based on the methodology that we following European one and closely cooperated the JRC developed in Serbia. Serbia was later on recognized by also United Nations and became the first European country that joined the United Nations Global Pilot Program, STI Roadmaps for SDGs. And our approach was based on a bit broader methodology based on smart specification strategy to this program.
And we all arrived to the same methodology, inclusive collaboration.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we will jump from Baltic Serbia straight to Basilicata region. Paola, do we have you online? Okay. So will you inform us when Paola will be online? Will you? Okay. So now we jump near to Basilicata, to Emilia Romagna. Alexandra was already speaking. You are an innovation expert, experienced in design, also not only the project but also financial part of it. We first thought that so that you would build up on Basilicata experience a bit. So the question was how Emilia-Romagna leveraged thematic partnerships to initiate and develop specific S3 cooperation projects, and what are the next steps for scaling this initiative across the region and also beyond the region.
Then we will see if we build on the Basilicata experience. Good afternoon to everyone. Yes, let's say I will start with three very concrete examples that the regional administration and specifically the managing directorate of the RDF program, our regional program, which is also responsible for, let's say, economy, research, and innovation in the regional government, is implementing, let's say, specifically for interregional collaboration for innovation related to the smart specialization strategy. Yeah, we have three examples because the regional administration at the moment is, let's say, experimenting, so testing different approaches, also to see what is working better. The first example we have is a specific call that was made with regional funds, so not with European funds, that is specifically aimed to support the internationalization of the actors of the innovation ecosystem. When I say the actor of the innovation ecosystems is public research institutions, which are recognized specifically in the region, enterprises, but also technopoles that we have, and the clusters that are, let's say, contributing to the governance of the history. So this call was basically supporting, well, one strand was to make feasibility studies to participate in European programs, but this was, let's say, the easiest part. The other one was a strand giving fund to the stakeholders to implement pilot, let's say, R&D projects, but basically very small experimental projects with partners outside the region. So the money went to the regional stakeholder, but they have to work with someone outside the regional territory, and to upscale in a way result of previous projects funded at regional level. So it was just to open up in a way the cooperation of this of our stakeholder. The second example is very different, as again it's really a try. The regional government joined the partnership on sustainable blue economy, the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership, which is one of the co-funded partnerships promoted also by Horizon Europe, with several countries in the world, because it's going outside also the European Union level. The region is the only region joining the let's say, the governance, and on top of this was made a specific call with RDF regional fund, let's say, for regional stakeholders. It's a sort of top-up to participate in this joint call for projects made by partnership. The third example is a bit intermediate between the two, because it's the participation with a specific call in the first pilot call of what this instrument that is called Innovate. That is a new funding instrument promoted by the Vanguard Initiative Network. That is a network of regions very well established that has just launched this year. The call is actually open. The first attempt, so basically to make a sort of pooling of regional funds to promote joint projects, and the region participating, and at the moment we have the call open. So these are three examples. The region didn't put a lot of money on each of these calls, because, as I say, it's quite experimental. One point just to close that I think is important is that, of course, the region arrived to this in a way, kind of realization after long years of experience of, let's say, cooperation. I mean, the Vanguard Initiative, I don't know, it's been established probably 20 years ago, and the regional administration and its stakeholders are participating to basically all the platform in the JRC for the so-called thematic smart specialization platform. there is a lot of experience also in participating in Interreg. So meaning that there is a good propensity not to cooperate, a good experience, also a good network, because trust, I guess, is quite important in working interregionally. There is also a good capacity from the stakeholders in the regional administration, which are very, let's say, internationally oriented. And so the calls, the joint projects are coming at the end of this process, and probably are also not the most important realization. But the consolidation of the networks and this capacity to cooperate, I think, is the most effective contribution.
Well, in other words, we always say that proposals at the beginning. That's where. But your contribution here leads us well to our next panelist, Cohen de Graaf. We are jumping now on European level of support mechanisms and of mechanisms to support the networking and collaboration for innovation. And if anyone, then Cohen is representing this history of experimentation on European level. He was a part. Now he is a part of community of practice, S3 community of practice, or supporting experts to community of practice, which is a brand new approach of DG Regio and partners in stipulating the collaboration amongst regions and sharing good practices. He's a part of IDEA Consulting, which was instrumental, the group of consultants that was instrumental in putting up and supporting Vanguard initiative and putting up and supporting the I3. So having all this in mind, this different experiences of yours,
can you hear?
what strategic measures can the S3 Community of Practice Secretariat implement to support the scaling and initiation of concrete S3 cooperation projects within the Adriatic Union region, ensuring these projects are both impactful and sustainable?
First of all, I would like to state that the emphasis put by the former speaker on the role of the regions, I fully agree to. That is one of the most important thing. Your national government, Brussels, can think of anything, but in the end, it comes to the regions to exploit it and to execute it. And for that reason, it is also very important that you always stay loyal to your region and based on the regional innovation strategy, which is an instrument to develop economic growth for your region. So the economics of the regions is one of the most decisive things for the direction you choose as a region to collaborate with other regions. So back to your question, Marco. When we talk about smart specialization, we have in Europe, we have today 5 smart specialization platforms. And looking at the discussion this morning, I just name a few of them. It is about blue economy. That is a platform under which a lot of partnerships are operating. And I come back to the partnerships. Industrial modernization is another one. It's also a platform under which different partnerships operate. A lot of them are represented in Vanguard, as already mentioned by Alessandro, and they are collaborating on different topics also, not only in I3, but also on Vinovate, the new instrument within the Vanguard regions. It is also an example of interregional collaboration funded by the region.
Meni sad OneDrive ne da.
So, culture and tourism is another platform which you could contribute. These are thematic platforms, and although you are a collaboration amongst you in user, it could be a consideration of joining these partnerships as well, either together or as a single region, because they work at a specific thematic area. So under these platforms, you find in total 38 thematic smart specialization partnerships. And these partnerships are focusing on one of the topics of importance to these platforms. And here you find your ground for collaboration, because here you meet partners who are facing similar challenges, who are chasing the same goals. And these are the potential partners for interregional collaboration. And that is across Europe. It is about EU 27. It is not only about the Baltic region or the Adriatic-Ionic region. So it goes far beyond that. And that enables you to collaborate in a way cohesion policy is actually meant across Europe, not within a very small region within Europe. So that is an opportunity I would like to stress. And then to make it more concrete, out of these platforms and later on these specific partnerships, the Commission said, okay, actually it would be good to further professionalize, to further support this interregional collaboration between the partners, that we offer a kind of support service. And it is up to the partnerships themselves to pick out the specific services, and I will come back to that later. But it started with support to the partnerships about what are your needs in the partnerships. How can we together co-design solutions to solve these needs? How can we together develop a structural approach to policy dialogue? So it's not about execution in the regions, it's not about only solving problems, but it is also about organizing the partnerships in the dialogue with the Commission to do some policy influencing, to direct them in the right direction. And last but not least, and I will give some examples later, there is a hand-on support for partnerships facing very practical issues. We can support them in solving them and help them to, well, even perform better as they do today. It is based on what they are asking for. So it's very tailor-made to the partnerships. And in some kind, we can even go a little bit further and assist them support to specific regions or specific sub-partnerships or even regions to further develop. So that is what the communities of practice is for. All kinds of services based on hands-on, on policy dialogue and specific needs and solutions. I will tell a little bit more later on what this is in practice and how this could help you as well a regional, macro-regional collaboration partnership.
Thank you very much. I hope that you all heard about that new support tool, also the platform, online, so you consult the website.
And if you Google S3 communities of practice, you will get there as well.
So very useful website, also the instrument of support we are using. And there will be a large gathering in Rimini in December. So this is the largest event, the only event for S3 practitioners in Europe. Hopefully it will become a traditional event, and the S3 community of practice is supporting it. Huh? So this is for the first round of questions. Do we have Paola? Paola, hi. Do we hear you? Can you sound yourself?
Good afternoon.
We need some more.
Can you hear me?
No, we don't hear you well. Can you try again?
Can you hear me?
Now it's a little better, but we would need to increase your volume. Can you try again?
Okay, now can you hear?
Can you hear Paola? Not really, huh? The audience cannot hear you.
I don't know.
We'll wait for a couple of more seconds, otherwise we will continue with panelists who are here.
I try.
No, the audience will not be able to hear you this way. Okay, can you try and resolve the technical matter, and we will come to Paola later. We will continue with the panelists in the room, right? Or are you close? No, okay, then we will have another round here. I would like to remind the speakers that we have 4 minutes for
I don't know now. Can you hear me?
No, the audience cannot hear you. I can hear you, but I'm close to the computer.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
But you hear this microphone well, huh?
Yes, I hear a little noise, but I can hear your voice.
You hear her? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Paola. So we have you in the meeting. Welcome.
Thank you very much for invite me.
So we have a first round of questions. There's a question for you, and you will combine your answers from the morning session into this afternoon panel. Okay?
Yes.
So my question to you at this point is: what have been the key drivers of Basilicata's region's successful launch of interregional S3 cooperation projects, and how can these strategies be applied specifically to foster new, tangible collaborations within the Adriatic Ionian region, particularly involving countries like Serbia? Please.
Okay. During the last programming period, the Basilicata region capitalized the experience of the previous programming periods, 2007-2013. In that programming period, the smart specialization strategy didn't exist, but we also funded the cooperation project among university and research center from Basilicata and from other European region for innovation project. This is very, very important for us because Basilicata is a small region and with very small enterprise, low research propensity. And so cooperation is the best way to cross regional boundaries and create a critical mass to expand development opportunities. There is not a specific way to involve partner from other countries like Serbia. The real limits of this project is that we can funds only partner from Basilicata region. So the partner from other European region must to implement the project with own resource. And this is a real limit because there is not a real collaboration, a real distribution of tasks among the work plan. So I think that we will repropose this type of project, but we can solve these limits, overcome these limits, especially for research project funded with the smart specialization strategy. It's important that the cooperation is real among all the partners.
Thank you very much, Paola. Most of collaborative financial instruments function the same way as you explained. For example, Vinovate, the Vanguard instrument functions the same way. Regions put the money in the pot, but for the purpose of funding the players from the region itself, so no money is lost in outside of the region. So that would be.
All the regions participating. So,
and everyone pulls as much money in to fulfill the needs of the project. From this Cohen's perspective of European instruments, we go back to project generation on the grounds, back to ESA and Baltics. How can the model of fostering innovation networks in the Baltic Sea region be adapted to create and support tangible S3-based cooperation projects within the Adriatic Union macro region, particularly by building on existing partnerships and local stakeholder engagement?
All right, that's a tough one. But again, staying in that kind of I think the core asset of Baltic Sea region as a macro region and US PSR is that we are quite well networked, quite well organized region, and that especially applies to local and regional authorities, and that. But anyway, also that it's not just that how can we export and promote our experiences, because it's also as we need to move on and take the next steps. Now when we are updating our action plan in the strategy, and now when we are preparing for the post 27 program period, and in the midst of today's challenges, so Europe is very different than it was when we started this program period or prepare it, and this is something that we need to also be better connected to European wide networks and value chain opportunities, and cross macro-regional cooperation is an excellent opportunity for that. But for what is our contribution then? That as mentioned, there are some good examples, good practices of well-established, effective networks and cooperation structures. For example, between regions or in some specific kind of a common important smart specialization priority areas like blue economy, blue growth. So just as an example, and also that we have already experienced, we kind of started that exchange with US Air last year, thanks to initiative from here. So we have this Submariner network, which is it's a really a best practice of Baltic Sea cooperation, to which also the strategy has contributed. Actually, in their early years, that very much started as an Interreg Baltic Sea region funded project, and then also they had a project focusing on blue economy, blue growth as one of the top and most popular smart specialization priorities among the Baltic Sea sub-regions. So this, and now they are a cross-border macro-regional cluster that is increasingly working with other maritime regions and maritime clusters, and they moved on from just running Interreg projects to running Horizon projects and I3 projects. And last year ago, it was in connection with the Blue Air project from here, this region, and Peter contacted us about an exchange opportunity in this topic, and we actually then organized an event in Berlin together with Submariner Network and had a group of like 30 blue economy stakeholders from here, and we presented of course, in general, blue economy, blue growth as a topic of collaboration in the Baltic Sea region, and then Submariner as a good practice. And anyway, we already are connected through that, and there's a better awareness in both macro regions and among the blue economy stakeholders on where we are good and what can we learn from each other and what can we do together. And of course, what we as macro regional strategy stakeholders, policy areas, or any other stakeholder in the strategy, so we can continue. We know which other strategies are connected, and that's a common interest shared by our stakeholders. That we understand that we are that we have this whole European innovation kind of a apparatus available, and there's so much opportunities for us to work together, and by just starting by openly sharing. So this is something that we have some cases like Submariner, or then we have a very good experience and well established structure for our managing authorities to collaborate and coordinate in the Baltic Sea region. That was actually very instrumental in our smart specialization work, how the managing authorities were able to agree a common approach and together among the or in line with the common formulations embed USPSR into mainstream programs. And then that's already a step forward, but we can do so much better in future, and we can do also so much better on how we embed the USPSR to interregs in next program periods or to other programs. So, and this is especially something that we should do together, and we have some good practices like the managing authorities network and involvement of the strategy in that work. We have some sectoral platforms like Submariner and some S3 networks between the regions that we believe that could be interesting. But we want to learn from you and anyway better connect to European-wide value chain opportunities and also European-wide funding opportunities in any topics relevant for regional innovation policy or smart specialization.
Well, this message was conveyed clearly. The collaboration is a race on the long run. Goes brick by brick, face to face, and instrument to instrument. Back to Victor. Can you describe how Priority Area 7 of the USDR, this is Knowledge Society, has led to specific S3 initiatives in Serbia, and how these experiences can guide the development of new concrete cooperation projects in the Adriatic-Ionian region?
Thank you, Marco, for this another question. I think this process is actually a mutual one in both directions. On one side, what we are doing on the level of the Priority Area 7, in particular, a smart specialization working group, on the regional level, effect on a way what we are doing on the national level, but also some good experiences for the national level also influence the work of that particular group in our priority area of the Danube region. Any case, I will focus more on what we learned from the regional level and try to implement to the national one. And for sure, it is this kind of dedication through the work of the specific working group that is communicate very frequently with the Joint Research Center of the European Commission with the idea to as employees how to effectively gather stakeholders from across the region and to identify and develop project ideas that address common regional priorities. I mean, different kinds of stakeholders are present at the meetings and discuss those initiatives. And for the funding opportunities, we have also another working group in the scope of Priority Area 7, that is working group of the Danube Funding Coordination Network, it is called like that, that is exploring different possibilities for the implementation. For the third side, we, as I already mentioned, we have this high-level communication with the Danube regional program, and also with the DTP capitalization strategy, by which 4 different poles of different projects are created for this communication from the project level to the policy level and vice versa. That means all of this stuff is kind of experience that could be implemented, and we are trying to do so on the national level. Also, what we did on the level of the Danube strategy is establishment or learning about best practices of establishment of governance, monitoring, and evaluation framework, how to do on the optimal way on the national level. We, on the level of the project, engaged high-level expertise to do so for us, to bring together all different experiences to present to us, and we are learning from that perspective to design our system, which has significantly, in our case, impacted Serbia's ability to manage and access S3-based projects. Just to mention something else, we are also doing on the level of the Danube strategy is the labeling of the project that have great impact to the further development of the region as a large. We are giving the label like a flagship project according to certain procedure, according to evaluation of the projects. And what we recently did, we supported like that. It is the acronym of the project, Horizon Euro project, Rispordano, project that is aiming to facilitate social, sustainable, technological transition in the Danube region through the revitalization of disused industrial sites. It is just finished, but the same group started with the development with their ideas and already communicated with us. That means we are on continuous way collaborating with such a great initiatives relevant for the Danube region. The next one is also relevant for the Danube region. Sure. We are actually in permanent, frequent touch with different groups of people that already came to us with the ideas for the future activities relevant for the Danube region. And just to mention that maybe it is more relevant for the previous question, but just to mention that based on these common priorities identified in the different countries or regions of the Danube region, we are trying to create a kind of regional value chain. And we already had, a few years ago, a kind of exercise with the Serbia and Montenegro, to try to do so. And we will nowadays like to replicate this to another countries in the region. Thank you.
but innovation is and research is intangible by definition in the accounting. Eh, yes, well, as you said, in this case, I'm speaking as coordinator of this Interreg Euromed, so a larger program project that is a governance project, so like the one that we have in the room from the Ireland side. In the case of Interreg Euromed, the governance projects are, let's say, aimed at contributing to improve the impact of the Interreg activities by creating favoring conditions for the governance of cooperation. So more or less, as you know, Interreg Euromed is not attached to any specific macro-regional strategy and is very, very large. The first perspective, let's say the first value added that maybe what we are doing in this project can add to the discussion here is that it's a different geographical area, so it's larger. As you also know, in the Interreg Euromed is almost entirely overlapping with Albion, apart from the Republic of Serbia. But there are many other countries, so let's say the perspective can be larger, as also was mentioned before, going from the macro-regional to also wider activity. The main, I think, added value we could bring is related by, in any case, to the approach toward innovation. That is basically what we are trying to work with this project, is really working on not anymore just on innovation for growth, for economic growth, for competitiveness, but innovation for societal challenges. That is leveraging on research and innovation to tackle challenges that we all face together. This is something that is also a debate that there is the European innovation policies in general and also in the smart specialization. But let's say, honestly, it's very easy to change the name from S3 to S4, but it's really, I think, very complex to really, let's say, conceive what does it mean, this change. So we are working basically with this approach toward transformative innovation policies. That I think it's also a new way to boost cooperation across borders, because we changed, in a way, the approach and also the objective we have. So I think this could be a point that we could bring in the discussion, also related not to what is done in the USEF context. Concretely, what we can offer on this is capacity building. We will build several initiatives for capacity building, and we can decide, we can agree maybe also with the facility point, that some of these initiatives are tailored only or mainly exactly to the needs and to the state of the art, I would say, in the Adriatic Ionian region, because we have also the possibility to have geographical focuses, let's say, within the Euromed. Another one that is very basic and very simple is, of course, possibility for networking. We are launching just on the 2nd of October what we call the Mission Community Hub. So basically a place for community building and networking. This is Mediterranean large, pan-Mediterranean in this case, not only the European side, but we aim also to involve the southern and eastern shore of the Mediterranean. And of course, there is the Adrian area can be included. What we are trying to do in this case with the STEP project is to work with together with them, because let's say stakeholder cannot really go every day on a different platform or look for networking in a different place. So maybe again we try to work together in order that we do not overburden. Just a final point, again, very, very concrete. We promoted as project, but not only as project, with many stakeholders in the area, including in the Adriatic Ionian area, a study that is a targeted analysis that has been funded by the ESPON program. This study will allow us to map cooperation networks in the Mediterranean regions that also meet the Adriatic Ionian regions. So we will basically monitor all the cooperation activities, basically partners of cooperation projects, funded by irrespective, let's say, of the program funding. So could be Interreg, could be Horizon, could be Erasmus, could be Creative Europe, could be any other funding program where we fund that data. At the moment, I think we do not have this kind of analysis. And again, in the study, we foresaw that a specific focus, so also visualization and the data extraction, will be just on the geography of USER. So will be ready to use because some of the stakeholders we have in the proposal are representing USER. And again, probably this can also support the collaboration because it will allow to understand which are the organizations already use the cooperation and if there are some, let's say, recurrent networking partners that we can leverage on.
Thank you very much for bringing societal challenges and transformative actions into discussion. This is your presentation clearly described what is meant under deep tech in Horizon language, for example. The mic is on. Okay, the mic is on. The loudspeakers are okay. No, the mic is. They hear them. So the deep tech, as addressed by the last Horizon calls, is defined as state-of-the-art technologies resolving societal problems in a deep manner, meaning going deep into the roots of the problem and resolving them with state-of-the-art technologies. So, Cohen, how can the S3 Community of Practice Secretariat, not Idea Consulting, but Secretariat, help regions in the Adriatic-Ionian region in moving from conceptual partnerships to development of concrete, actionable S3 cooperation projects, particularly in the context of initiatives like Dialogue for Innovation?
Yes, thank you for the question, Marco. First of all, I would say listen to Alessandro. He already gave a lot of these answers. But one of the main points is, and it was very clear in the discussions I had this morning, is become more concrete. We are looking for the concrete execution, collaboration in projects. And when you're looking for projects, my advice from S3COP Secretariat would be, okay, find your common ground. Define what your mutual challenges are and start acting in a way that you complement each other. Combine your strengths. That is related to the S3. Combine your strengths and see how you can use them to solve these societal issues, these societal challenges, for example. And then you move on, then you move further. And if you can do that in a partnership, that's fine. My advice would also be not to stick only to the USR region. Connect to the rest of Europe, because there are also solutions over there. And there is also a lot of adequate partners to help you on one end, but they have also a lot of questions to you, so you can help each other. It is a mutual thing, but please connect also to them. Don't isolate yourself. Then concrete, the S3COP services can offer you a lot of things more hands-on, as I mentioned before. So it starts with training on capacity building. How do you do that? Based on experience, of good experience of other regions. Then scope or rescoping. Bring focus into your activities. Third one is when you've done that, you can control or do it again, your mapping. Who are the relevant stakeholders in this? Who can bring you to the solutions? Who should be involved? From there, you go to structuring your collaboration. We call that governance. There, we assist you in defining your mission, your vision, your concrete objectives, the forming of thematic working groups, very similar to what you already have. So that's not new to you. You are already working very good in that direction. but the real work has to be done in these thematic working groups, and they are going to initiate the proposals to apply for specific funding. And there we are at funding. The ESRI communities of practice can assist you in creating a system where you structurally can find funding to your needs, to your projects. We are not writing the proposals for you. I'm sorry, you have to do that yourself, or consult any company who can assist you in that. But at least you will get a structural view on the availability of funding in the different periods of time and on different thematic areas. And then, last but not least, it is important that you demonstrate to your stakeholders in your region that these projects have an effect, that they bring something. Show the solutions, show the people, show the companies that they can implement these solutions and that they will benefit from it. And then for the latter part, we also assist you in scaling up these solutions further, getting more implementation up to commercialization. So we advise you how to commercialize these findings, how to commercialize these solutions. We are not participating in it, but at least we can show you some very good directions already shown by other regions based on best practices. That's what very concrete, hands-on service of the S3 communities of practice can mean.
Now we're approaching almost the last round. We have to be strict with less than 3 minutes. Victor, your turn. What strategies have been most effective in Serbia for engaging academic and research institutions in Serbia in the development of S3-based projects? And how can these be adapted to foster similar projects in the Adriatic-Ionian region? So, question for your academic part of identity.
Sorry, what I mentioned is that for this kind of cooperation, from one side it's very important to have a very strong research infrastructure. From another side, in the same ecosystem, it is important to have technology transfer innovation infrastructure. And my country is at the moment invest a lot in this part of ecosystem. That is so important, so relevant, and at the first place it is in science technology parks. Not only it is not only only based in Belgrade and in Novi Sad. It is nowadays in Niš, in Čačak. Tomorrow will be in Kruševac and Kragujevac. That means this is and all of them are near major university campuses. This is the this played a critical role in fostering collaboration between academia and industry, and it is a kind of essential infrastructure for the technology transfer and the business incubation. I didn't say something new probably, but for our development it is very important, and in particular for S3 priorities. In addition to that, what we are doing at the moment is Bio4 campus. There should be future bioscience and bioindustry European hub in which we will invest more than 300 million euros. And it is something that is in very much in the development stage, still not built up, but I really hope soon. But what is important is that already in this stage we signed the agreements, memorandums with the major and the biggest pharma companies, and we will do so with other industries as well. The idea is to have all together at the same place. From one side, the critical mass of scientists in the medical field, in the pharmacy field, in the bio-related other fields, in the agri-food, and so on. and from another side very strong companies to the immediate exchange.
In other words, major investment.
Yeah, it is. It is really, and we really hope it will help a lot for the development, and also the part of this sort of artificial intelligence that we created recently, Institute for Artificial Intelligence, and we would like to implement their activities together with all other things. Just to add, Innovation Fund with the collaborative programs between academia and the business sector through several different programs. Sorry, and last but not least, the project I'm managing at the moment. It is SAGE project that is trying to bring on the level up the activities of research institutes that are relevant for the society, for the business sector.
Thank you very much, Victor. And now, are we having Paola last try? This is the last try for Paola.
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
We hear you much better.
Okay.
So the question for you is actually the question about the future. How does Basilicata experience in interregional cooperation inform your region's future priorities for launching new projects under broader European innovation and cohesion policies, particularly within the Adriatic-Ionian region? I hope we will hear you now. Huh? Heard you for a while, but now we are losing you.
Yeah, maybe just try speaking again, Paula.
I cannot hear you. I only hear a noise, a disturbing noise.
Okay, then we are very sorry that we cannot have you on this panel. Unfortunately, due to technical reasons, I apologize in the name of technology. And we'll go back to Alessandra. Can you highlight how regional governance has played a role in Emilia-Romagna's success in S3 cooperation, and how this model can be adapted to other regions with different governance structures to initiate new interregional S3 projects?
Okay. Well, to really explain how the governance model in Emilia-Romagna was built, I should go back to the theory of industrial district and the evolution between economic, let's say, fabric and the institution. That is probably where the model came from. But let's say, to go to something easier, I guess the two value added of the regional governance model are on the way to be reflective of what is in the society. So to stick on the where really are the stakeholders and where are the strengths of the regions and the regional ecosystem. So the capacity to also sometimes to follow which are the priorities of the regional ecosystem, which are not decided by the policy. And indeed, when you look at our specialization strategy, especially the first edition, is basically an evolutionary picture of what was already there and was supporting this reinforcing. Of course, especially within RIS3, and some specific structure has been introduced to make this also more, in a way, more streamlined. And for example, just to mention one, ad hoc association has been promoted. We call them cluster. So cluster, like but it's cluster in Emilia-Romagna, which are private associations between companies and research performing organizations and other stakeholders. They were more triple helix than quadruple helix, but they are evolving. They are privately funded, And basically, these are the backbone, this governing the continuous ADP, but in real terms, meaning that their suggestions goes in the thematic part of the call for project. And the region is not in the situation. Now we are supporting, we also supporting with money. But let's say, creating the backbone that can be autonomous. You need to also to trust on the stakeholders. The other capacity, I think, that is in a way contradictory, but is the balance, is a governance that is not conservative, meaning not a governance that just reflects on what is there, but also can, in a way, incentivize, promote what should come. One very easy example that for us is really astonishing. We never had in mind in the region that the region was an hotspot for digitalization and for big data. This was discovered, let's say, by the policy, was highlighted a few years ago. It was 2018. In the region, there was the highest concentration of big data capacity in Italy, because there is the consortium of the university. And this led in very few years to a very large project. Now we have one of the 7 high-performance computing from the European Partnership. And the region has really invested a lot in what we call the Emilia-Romagna Data Valley, with many, many initiatives going towards digitalization, artificial intelligence. This happened in less than 5 years, with a strong role from the policy, not with money, because it's beyond the capacity of money of the region, but really with political support and capacity to work with the stakeholders. So governance, which is attached to what is there, but is also able to go beyond. Not easy, because as I said, this comes back from decades of evolution. So it's not something that can probably be transferred and applied.
Driven approach, and the government or regional authorities supporting the motivation and the impulse of industries, SMEs, and large companies. That's a brilliant explanation of industry-driven approach, which is mantra for the smart specialization. Now, Esa, given the focus on innovation, how do you see the potential for cross-macro-regional collaboration between the Baltic Sea region and the Adriatic-Ionian region in the future, particularly through the development of concrete S3-based cooperation projects? So, future again. We are into future.
Thanks. I'd like to come back to what Alessandro, in your earlier comments, raised very importantly, the kind of challenges and challenge-driven, mission-driven innovation. And when we talk about concrete cooperation and topics, the Baltic Sea cooperation, EUSPSR, it's actually, when I mentioned that the regions and cities, we are very strong in working in different levels of government. But then what comes to actions, they are, whether it's innovation or energy or transport or any environmental topic, under the strategy. This is very much about tackling our common challenges, which are place specific, which are common for all countries and regions in that macro region. And of course, they are just based on our location and geography. There are issues based on the climate. There are demographic challenges which are common in the northern part of Europe. And then, especially today, the security-related challenges and beyond defense considerations, which concern also regional development and regional innovation policy, and how we make our communities more resilient. This is actually security, resilience. They are becoming a smart specialization priority. Actually, in my home region, Tampere, for sure, the security will be a smart specialization priority. And we already are also working in European cooperation to that direction. So, but then this is something that is common for all of us. So place-based issues, location-based issues where the neighborhood matters. And okay, And then when we work with the same approach in different macro regions, of course, there's a lot of opportunities for us to open our challenges and open our experiences to be tackled together. And especially between US BSR and US Air, of course, we are both maritime regions. So for Baltic Sea region, everything related to Baltic Sea, whether it's protecting the Baltic Sea, saving the sea, or using the maritime, promoting the maritime economy and all the innovation opportunities related to that, aquaculture, whatever, energy issues. So that's something that definitely is common for us, our two macro regions. And when we have both, we have assets, we have expertise, we have tested tools and cooperation models. Also, why not to use them together, and also to use them in the framework of various EU funding opportunities. And this is one example. So, yeah, I look at we are updating the action plan of our strategy at the moment. And in policy area innovation, we would increasingly focus on European-wide opportunities. And for us, it means cross macro-regional collaboration. Of course, we have to be very clear that we stay in our domain within this whole EU policy context. That this is macro-regional strategies and macro-regional collaboration can play a very important role in certain parts of the innovation activities, and in those especially place-based topics. And then we come to regions, for example, which are a key state, which possess a lot of natural resources. They have natural assets, and they are close to the communities and people, and run public services. So a lot of interesting opportunities. And then we have to look at ourselves as part of this whole Europe, and our that how can we, through Baltic Sea cooperation or cross macro-regional collaboration, then be relevant in the framework of future European innovation policy. Just maybe just a little ending with a bit not too seriously, but just checking the Draghi report on the just when we talk about the European-wide value chain opportunities in green transition, for example, that how Europe can be a winner and create new jobs and be more competitive. So maybe a bit worried that, for example, for Finland in the value chain, that this kind of a nature resource hub role was reserved. So we need to, of course, we want to be the ones who are very active contributors to the green transition. And I believe that in that also cross macro-regional collaboration plays a role, and especially when we go to the maritime challenges and maritime innovations.
Competing in more than 40% of high-tech European value chains on global markets. So, but a relevant point, of course. We will tackle now the cross-macro-regional cooperations from, again, European dimension, and this will be the last question for our panelists from the moderators part. Then we will open the discussion. Of course, the question is to Ilkka, since we deal with macro-European view on cross-macro-regional collaboration. What are the most promising opportunities for initiating new S3-based cooperation projects at the macro-regional level in the Adriatic-Ionian region? And how can the S3 Community of Practice Secretariat support this initiative to ensure they are impactful and aligned with broader regional goals in the context of cross-macro-regional collaborations?
Well, thank you, Marco. And I'm happy that I can be ending with a very optimistic and promising look at the future. Coming back to ESA and the Draghi report, let's see the Draghi report as an opportunity. It is a call for collaboration. That's it. Okay, it's also a warning, but it's a call for collaboration. And to comfort ESA, the Finland regions are not seen as a reservoir for nature. They are seen also in the S3 community of practice as a very important region when it's about mining. And they collaborate, for example, with mines in Portugal. This is cross-macro region collaboration. And it's, in my view, a very good example contributing to resilience in Europe, coming back to the 40% of China. And this type of collaboration is very helpful, focusing on a specific area, focusing on overcoming common challenges. And this again is the opportunity for you. Try to connect the pillars in USAR to the S3 priorities in the different regions. Connect to the thematic smart specialization platforms that is on the website of S3, and together, in combination with the pillars, collaborate with other regions in Europe. That is the opportunity. And the S3 COP can support you in that. The S3 COP is supporting these partnerships, and the S3 COPs can also support, well, individual macro regions collaboration, can support individual regions on specific topics. So we can really serve you or provide you with the help you need in that respect to get further. And this is impactful because you're working on thematic challenges. You're working together, combining your strengths and delivering solutions together in projects, innovation projects, demonstration projects. And again, the next stage is that you can also open up your facilities, your infrastructure. I'm not talking about shared infrastructures as sometimes requested by certain politicians. That is very difficult. But the first step is to open up and say, okay, you from Serbia are welcome in Finland to test and experiment if you want. Well, that might be a little bit far. So let's start within your macro regions collaborations to open up your facilities there. Proximity is very important. So make use of the opportunities you have also in Emilia-Romagna and use their facilities to support your SMEs, support your innovators in this collaboration. And then you get traction, and then you will create the impact you need. And then we are getting somewhere. This enables you also to look at funding on a European level, because you're working across this macro region, you're working beyond Interreg, and you can look at different opportunities like I3, like Horizon, probably also like Finovate. And that's the opportunity I would like to end up with for you. Future is waiting for us. Let's take up the challenge and tackle it.
Thank you very much, Koen. So lots of opportunities. Our panelists have hours and hours of arguments to share with you. This was a very short session. Next meeting is in 15 minutes in this room. So we want to harvest a couple of questions before they will tell us that we need to stop. So please, without further ado, your questions to the panelists. Also audience online. Come on, you have the best experts in innovation and cross-regional collaboration here. Online audience, do we have any hands on? No? No, the panelists were clear, crystal clear. The presentation were clear as well. It's a huge matter and complexity dealing from governance to technological readiness level of projects, state of the art. So the issue is very complex. We understand that that it's not a matter really for discussion at this hour. But please do raise your hands. Yes, a colleague from Bosnia and Herzegovina.
I would like to thank to all panelists for excellent presentation and for messages sending to us. Since that I'm co-coordinator of Pillar 3, the strategy from Bosnia and Herzegovina. This morning we heard that we are in the beginning stage, not only in Bosnia but some other non-EU countries. So do you have any so-called clue or whatever proposal how to improve the situation in that non-EU country that are not in possibility to start with these very important activities? Any of you, it's okay.
Maybe just to start from me. Okay, we as Bosnia and Herzegovina is also the part of Danube macro region. We would like very much to see the progress, and we are discussing a lot on the level of the strategy, as we had one of the goals for the previous period of the execution of the strategy to have all strategies done by 2020. Unfortunately, what we succeed is to have the processes in all region, in all country of the Danube region, in particular that Western Balkan part of the region. In any case, we are really ready to pass our experience. We discussed a lot with the colleagues from Bosnia to pass our experience that we gained along the time to our colleague there. And yeah, you have to have at the first moment a good coordination of the activities. You have to have a kind of political, how we started, a kind of political decision that we will done this. Then it was before European Commission asked for us to do so. We started by our own in 2017. Then slowly we had request by request on behalf of the Commission towards the negotiation process, and nowadays we have more and more requests to have this smart specialization adopted, to have action plan, and so on and so on. It is a kind of the way to a little bit press you to do so, but it's better to do basically bottom up from your side, and we are really ready to share the experience. But you have to have this kind of coordination on the level of the country, on the level of the region, and synergy in between the entities to do so.
Maybe I can add up to that, because I was policy advisor for the province of North Brabant, region in the south of the Netherlands, for 6 years, and was also involved in developing our regional innovation strategy. So I can fully agree with what Victor says. It is a bottom-up procedure, but the trap is to talk to the right stakeholders. And with the right stakeholders, I mean those who can help you in executing this strategy and strive the goals. It is about knowing the strengths of your region and use them. If you're not an agriculture region, you can name that in your strategy, but you will never become an agriculture region. So focus and talk to the right people. That's my advice.
I was reminded by our hosts here at the interregional Center of Excellency, which is a research infrastructure which was built recently with the Horizon teaming, blended financing, that we have 1 minute, so I will conclude the session by reminding you to conclusions that were adopted in the morning, and those conclusions specifically deal with the creation of the governance architecture for the cross-regional cooperation. This, in simple words, means that it's on us, the team leaders of smart specialization in regions to do the job, to connect, to talk to our peers in other regions, to exchange information on priorities, S3 priorities. So use the channels of regional S3 team leaders and teams better to align policies, and particularly to come up slowly, gradually, this will be a process, to a synchronized architecture for governance, which can lead then to joint investments. That's how I would say the spirit of our discussion ended, connected to the conclusions in the morning, and this panel in an excellent manner sort of underpinned the messages from the morning. I would like to thank all the panelists for sharing their experience, and we will see you around next opportunity. Yeah? So thank you very much. Big round of applause for them. And my mic goes to the organizers.
Okay. You hear me, right? Yeah. And before I lose you, I would also like to invite everyone that's live here to dinner tonight at Lounge Bar Svetilnik at the Svetilnik Beach in the city center of Isola. So we hope that we see you there at 7:30 tonight.
Thank you so much.
Lounge Bar Svetilnik. Svetilnik, yes. So if you write Lighthouse Isola, you will find it. Tonight.